Look, to me, it's glaringly obvious that the WWE was setting up itself to have an amazing 2024. All signs were pointing to that. Heck, the WWE finished 2023 with a crazy bang, which included the return of Randy Orton, who was almost retired due to injury, and the return of CM freaking Punk, who was gone for almost 10 years. All of that, plus all of the great PLEs, all of the great surprises, all the great storylines and booking made 2023 one of the best years in professional wrestling ever. But as we're going into 2024, the roster is more stacked than it's ever been. Every division is looking strong and well booked. The NXT developmental plan is finally working exactly how it's supposed to. And more importantly than all of that, WWE fan morale is at an all-time high. But just when we thought that things couldn't get any weirder or any crazier, the WWE just decides to casually bring back Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And The Rock returning to WWE programming has a lot of great, maybe severe consequences to the entire main event scene, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. However, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, look, I know you're going to fall in love with this channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. Hell, dude, that's my gimmick. I'm the daily wrestling content guy. I literally cannot miss any days, even if I wanted to. Now, in this video, I'm not going to be reviewing everything that happened in Monday Night Raw. This is not what this is. Instead, I'm going to be talking about the outlook of the WWE main event scene going into 2024 now that The Rock has come back and has firmly set his eyes on Roman Reigns. If you do want to watch and listen to my review of the day one edition of Monday Night Raw, make sure to check out patreon.com/SantiZap. That's where I upload all of the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, NXT reviews, and where the Wrestling is Cool podcast is uploaded 3 days early. So go over there, you'll get the entire 20-minute audio and video. Again, patreon.com/SantiZap. Check the description or the pin link. As 2023 came to a close, one of my observations of the current landscape of the WWE main event scene is that it is incredibly stacked. It's so stacked to the point that inevitably wrestlers that you and I and the rest of the world loves are likely gonna end up falling into limbo and take a backseat to other main event players. I mean, it's already happening in the WWE today. The most glaring example is happening over on Friday Night SmackDown with the return of both AJ Styles and Randy Orton, which has left LA Knight, a guy that in early November was the biggest name in not just WWE, but all of professional wrestling, is now taking a secondary role and is no longer the focal point of WWE main event storytelling. Now, you might be thinking, oh no, Doomsday, what they're doing to LA Knight is burying him. He's gonna now be a mid-carder or a low-carder, or he's gonna get fired from the WWE. But ultimately, what this boils down to is that the WWE has too many things going on at once. And that in itself, my friends, is a good problem to have going into 2024. What this means is that we're setting up to have a year in the WWE with a lot of variety in the main event scene. Feuds between all of these main event guys, feuds that we haven't seen before, all feuds that can be main event caliber storylines and matches. And it's this stacked main event scene and the variety that's going to come with it that's going to set up WWE to have an incredibly successful 2024 in the eyes of the fans. Look, I promise you that getting all of this variety with main event players is better than just getting Triple H versus Shawn Michaels at 7 consecutive pay-per-views like they did back in 2002 and 2003. Variety. That is what this loaded main event scene is going to provide to us, and as they say, variety is the spice of life. Now, if you did think that this main event scene was just way too stacked and way too loaded after the return of CM Punk and Randy Orton, then the return of the jabroni great one, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, isn't really gonna help things out much more. On the day one edition of Monday Night Raw, The Rock made a surprise appearance where he hindered Jinder. We don't hinder Jinder, but they decided to hinder Jinder. And in classic Rock fashion, he did classic Rock things like make fun of Jinder, come up with a new fan chant. He even sang bang and then beat up Jinder Mahal. If I'm being honest with you, I kind of hated this entire segment. I thought it was lame. I thought it was corny. I thought it was just going to be another one of those cheap pops and another inconsequential visit from The Rock. Pretty much the exact same thing that we got all the way back in the fall with Austin Theory. I thought it was going to be exactly just that, just a visit from The Rock that didn't really set up anything. However, this time, The Rock turned the entire professional wrestling world upside down. He did this when he started talking to the crowd about where he should sit if you were to go to a restaurant in San Diego. Should he sit in a booth? Should he sit in a bar? Or should he sit at the head of the table? And my friends, there's already someone sitting there, the tribal chief Roman Reigns. This was a feud that we were all clamoring for last year. In fact, it was a feud that allegedly we were supposed to get at last year's WrestleMania that now we're finally getting, but yet it's getting quite a bit of fan backlash. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But now with The Rock setting his eyes on Roman Reigns, it forces us to ask a few questions. The first one of those questions is, when will The Rock versus Roman Reigns happen? Because when it happens, will have impact on the entirety of the main event scene. Because this could absolutely happen at this year's WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, and that is a big enough match to be the night 2 main event of that show. It could also happen at the Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia. We've all heard the rumors of the Perth Australian government willing to pony up a few million doubloons to have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson compete at this show. Or maybe they decide to go into their old bag of tricks and give us another "I hear voices in the air, I hear them loud and clear," another once-in-a-lifetime type feud where they just feud for an entire year, setting up for next year's WrestleMania. All of those are viable options, but then there's another question to ask. With The Rock returning, who's about to get LA Knighted now? By that I mean, who is that WWE superstar in the main event scene that's going to get shoved to the side in order to make room for the bigger name that is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? And sadly, the obvious answer is, everyone say it with me, Cody Rhodes. I mean, we've all universally pegged Cody Rhodes at this point to be the one to go up against Roman at WrestleMania 40, but with the return of The Rock, it potentially brings all of those aspirations crumbling down faster than the Velveteen Dream's career. But it's only really crushing and destroying Cody's story if you're married to one of two ideas. The first one being that Cody has to finish the story at WrestleMania 40, which I don't think has to be the case, because his story isn't about main eventing and winning WrestleMania. His story has and always has been about winning the WWE Championship. You can literally do that anywhere. Sure, it'd be nice if it happened at the biggest stage that WWE has to offer, but I'm not married to the idea that this has to happen at WrestleMania. The other aspect that you have to be married to is that Cody has to finish the story against Roman Reigns and no one else, which I also don't think has to be the case. Because frankly, perhaps we're living in a reality where The Rock ends up costing Roman Reigns the title versus Randy Orton, for example, which could then set up The Rock versus Roman Reigns in a match for who's the head of the table at WrestleMania, while also setting up Cody versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. And frankly, Cody versus Randy is a better finish to the Rhodes story, especially when you look at the fabric that interweaves Randy and Cody's career. And I'm aware of the complaint made towards The Rock just returning and instantly getting a main event spot. Heck, no one ever said it better than CM Punk himself back in 2011. The fact that Dwayne is in the main event of WrestleMania and I'm not makes me sick. But the pill that many of us are gonna need to swallow is that The Rock is just way too big of a name and way too big of a financial draw to not give him an instant main event spot. Like, it's just the reality that we live in. Because yes, we can talk about all of the amazing hard work that the guys that are there every week are putting forth, but business is business, and The Rock is the biggest business that you can do. However, there is a silver lining, because just like how CM Punk has changed over the last 10 years, so has WWE booking. I would say that one of the biggest differences between the WWE going into 2024 and the Vince McMahon era of WWE booking is that Vince McMahon, frankly, kind of sucked at building multiple grandiose main event storylines at once. He was only really really good at focusing on one guy, one story, and making that one feel special and making that one the main event, while everything else was just an auxiliary around it. Meanwhile, Triple H has shown time after time after time that he is very talented at this booking thing, and he is very much capable of building numerous storylines to have main event storyline feel. Meaning that even though we have a crowded main event scene with Rollins, Punk, Rock, Roman, LA Knight, Orton, maybe Brock Lesnar comes back, it doesn't mean that they won't all be given main event caliber writing and storylines going into WrestleMania. Because folks, that is the type of WrestleMania season that we're about to go into. A WrestleMania season with a stacked main event scene that will lead to numerous main event quality feuds and storylines, all of which will feel big and special in their own right. Again, I bring you back to the beginning of the video where I said that the biggest problem that the WWE has going into 2024 is that it has too many good things going for it, but frankly, that's a great problem to have. And if that's your biggest complaint of the WWE right now going into 2024, that there's too many good things happening, then we truly, genuinely are being set up for the greatest year in professional wrestling history. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening to the ramblings of this wrestling fan. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to leave it a like, but that's it. I'm done. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Get out of here.